Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. We're like a book club for people who hate reading. This week we're doing Pan's Labyrinth, made in 2006, and we bring you movie news at the end of the program. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens,
hello,
and the man who's wearing the fine Corinthian leather, Ryan Preston. This week we're doing, what's his name?
Guillermo del Toro.
What he said. We're doing his Pan's Labyrinth he made in 2006, and one of you guys has the description.
Gosh, I say it so well before the show, and then I can't even say it after. All right, go on.
Right, yeah, we're debating on how well we could actually say his name.
I can't say it all.
Pan's Labyrinth, released 2007. The IMDb description, which I love, is in the fascist Spain of 1944, the bookish young stepdaughter of a sadistic army officer escapes into an eerie but captivating fantasy world.
That is like the worst description we've had on the show yet.
Well, it's
succinct, but it doesn't cover the whole thing. Because I mean,
the thing is, it's kind of a anyway.
Maybe it's the Twitter description.
Well, okay, it does take place in fascist Spain in 1944.
You got that part right.
The girl does read books, but she's not. She's a princess from another realm, the underworld, and they're trying to get her back. That's basically it. It's not this eerie fantasy world that's made up in her mind.
Well, okay, sure, yeah. That actually can be debated, but it's basically this fairy tale thing juxtaposed with like the most kind of gritty war drama, rebels versus the
okay, hold on before we get too far, because I want to hear a fresh description, because I know I saw this movie the weekend of its release.
Yeah, so
like basically almost midnight showing. I'm sure Ryan did the same thing. I know John just watched this Saturday.
Yeah.
So I want to hear.
That's why I've kind of been looking forward to doing this, because I know he hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen it since it came out.
I've seen it about 5 times
because I fucking hate crowds, but that's a different story.
I've been because once we started this, there's been movies I've been wanting to see, but I stopped wanting actually trying to watch them just because I knew at some point we were gonna see it on the show.
Yeah.
And my first note, this is literally my first note, was great mix of fantasy and reality elements that flow very well together. The visual styles creates a feeling of age without overly burdening the audience with bad makeup or CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the few movies I've seen that it doesn't look awful or overly produced. If it was American-made movie, I think it would have had a lot more CG, a lot more over the top.
Yeah.
Because we have a tendency just to go Transformers.
Well, yeah, especially when it's a thing that you have a franchise that everybody knows. It's really easy to throw $200 million behind the budget, but something like this. I mean, this is probably one of the most original stories I've seen in a long time, especially when it came out in 2006.
Yeah.
Well,
and somebody like Guillermo del Toro, I think it was like one of his first
after Hellboy. Hellboy was his first one, American one that I know of.
This is going to be kind of out of left field, but with the fantasy and reality elements, couldn't you say it's kind of a mix of the never-ending story, like how they did things in that one? Not 100%, but yeah. Because the way the fantasy and reality kind of mix, it did mix as well.
I don't like to compare it to that, but that's not a bad comparison. Right?
No, it's not, because it's pretty much almost the same type of story, like kid sort of escaping from his shitty reality into
a book
world that may or may not be real.
Yeah.
My second one was, why would you take advice from a fawn/guy you've never met before?
You know what? That's what I was gonna bring up, dude. Because any one of those creatures that she saw in the beginning could have chased me up a fucking mountain. Would have ran like an idiot from that fucking bug that came out of the thing when she put the eye in, dude.
I remember the first time I saw that, it pops out, and it made me jump a little bit the first time in a big theater.
Standing there like, what's that?
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's a fairy.
I wouldn't have even seen what that thing looked like.
I wouldn't have thought of fairy when I saw that thing. I would have thought, die.
My response would have been,
that's a leap.
That's a big ass bug, is what it is.
Yeah, but I agree with John in that one. Like, the first time I saw that fawn coming out, I'm like, holy crap, dude, I would, be freaking out. Like, kill it with fire.
It's the devil, right? Isn't that how people like portray the devil with the horns and then the legs?
That and some previous American
that
presidents.
was the first thing I thought. I thought that guy was going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I thought that guy was going to be a bad guy, and then he started talking, and I'm like, he might be a good guy, but I'm just not sure yet. Because the way it was portrayed is
he almost looks very neutral. Like he could go either way.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm saying. He looks like a bad guy, but he's also one of those guys that you're not sure. It's kind of on the fence. He could turn at any moment type thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, here's this. Well, she even questions him, I think, at one point, saying, like, how do I know all this shit's true?
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, did you watch the subtitled version, right?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because the voices, especially the guy who voiced the fawn.
Yeah.
And like the little girl. I mean, all of it was great.
The other note is I love the color palette on this. I'm becoming a bigger.
You know what? I was waiting for you to say that. This will mark probably how many episodes have we done of this?
40,
41, 42.
40. That'll be 41 episodes that you mentioned the color palette of a movie.
Well, yeah, but believe it or not, it actually seems to matter because at least to me, because if you have like a really hyper realistic color palette and a stupid story element, the color seems to take away from the movie to me. If it's not bound.
With you
now, hold on. I want to see where he's going on this one because I have a point on actually. I was going to go into the color palette or cinematography in a little bit too. So I'm curious about what he wants to say.
Because I actually thought the kind of the very earthy, subtle, dark tones. I thought it really fit with the story. It's
some of it kind of almost tipped towards like Tim Burton style darkness.
Yeah, especially the scenes when they're taking place in the castle or the underworld or whatever you call it.
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah, because totally almost looks like a puppet's going to pop out.
Right.
No. This is not David Bowie's Labyrinth. All right.
Wow. The other one is the scene where he stitches his face up, and the following scene where he drinks is really well done.
Yeah, it was. Oh, that was an amazing part. See, that's the thing is, I was gonna say it seems to have a really great mix between like the practical effects and special effects.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things where foreign movies do a lot better than American movies because for some reason
they don't have the amazing budget like we do, or like the studios are willing to throw into this stuff. A lot of them are made independent, sent to Sundance, picked up by a major studio, and go from there.
Yeah, because this is well done. I mean, this isn't like my new favorite term. This isn't Transformers, so it's very subtle. And the girl who plays what was the main character's? Ophelia, the chick who does that does an amazing job.
Oh yeah,
I mean, her
she
and
was 12 when this movie came out.
Her and the officer and the other lady, Mercedes, are the standout characters and the actors in this movie to me.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is like I'm waiting to see like what happens with this thing. Like, open the book, little girl. I want to see what's going down, and then at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on with the rebels? Like that shit got to resolve too. Like I found myself being torn between the two stories. I think we said it back in the day when it came out, but it really is just an adult fairy tale.
Yeah. Like I just kind of mentioned, this is not your David Bowie Labyrinth.
Oh, no. By the way,
this ain't your kid's fairy tale.
Yeah, no pedophiles and no puppets and talking doors.
But at least this isn't an adult fairy tale that would have nudity. Anytime you put adult by any title, it seems to be, over the top pornography, and it ruins the movie.
Well, that's one of the things that I really appreciated about Guillermo del Toro. He's the one that wrote this and produced it and directed it.
I didn't realize he wrote it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He did all this work here, and I like the fact that he kept this classy.
Oh, yeah, totally.
There was no unnecessary violence. There was no unnecessary cursing.
I mean, I don't know.
There was nothing.
Got shot in the cheek.
Yeah.
By the way, the first time I've ever seen it like that, instead of the forehead, if it was an American movie, it would have been right between the eyes.
But what I mentioned to Ryan,
the whole head would have like exploded, or like dust would have flown off. I mean, it was kind of
what I mentioned to John at that moment, because he's like, "Well, that's a cheek shot." I said, "But if you just pull up from your hip like that and fire at the face, you have a good chance not to hit him right between the eyes or in the head. It's gonna kill him, but it means
the guy read during the CG is just not a good shot.
Yeah. Anyway, is it you got more?
Nope, that's it. I just had 5.
Brian, I'm gonna pass it off to you because I've seen this more than you have. So.
Oh yeah, sure. I've only seen it I think twice. But
5, 6.
But
like
damn, I loved this movie from the get go. Yeah, like I said, it was just insanely original. And it's something that you're really not used to seeing, and it was the mix between, like I said, the visual and the special effects were amazing. It was really understated what they were doing, but it still it fed towards like, oh fuck, that was real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that guy just got shot in the face. Like, and it like gave you that weird like gut feeling, like, oh shit, what's going on here? And then like, oh, I hope this girl's okay, and I want this thing to be real so bad. I just found myself being wrapped up in the story, which I think is what we all sort of want from movies in the first place. So,
yeah.
But I mean, everything that was done from the writing, the dialogue in it was amazing. Like you said, James, there was nothing really out of place. You know what I mean? Like nothing was done for the sake of like exposition,
So there was nothing into this movie too that took you out of it. Like, is there any one scene that you saw it that just kind of took your head out of the story?
What? The first time, no, absolutely not. I was sold. I was bloody in. It's one of those that like for people who don't even really dig like foreign movies, it's like, no, please watch this movie. You'll dig it. But the one part that I saw the second time was when she opened the book. When she like goes into the bathroom after taking care of her mother, she opens the book, and it was clearly a picture of ovaries that formed in blood in the book, and that girl like immediately recognized what ovaries were in 1944. I don't know how she did that.
She's a smart girl who reads a lot.
Right? Yeah, like she into anatomy or something like that, because that was pretty vague. You know what I'm saying?
It's an anatomy book.
It was just really weird how a 12-year-old girl's mind sort of made that leap.
You see, to me, it was more showing the blood.
Yeah, I think what they're kind of hinting there, besides the fact that you pointed out that there were ovaries, is the fact that she's recognizing the blood, and she knows that her mom is having issues with the baby, and that probably is what freaked her out. That's what I was.
I mean, it's like, okay, whatever. I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying,
but again, this was the second time, and it was just my weird brain just thinking about weird shit. So it still didn't take me out of the story. I still wanted everything to work out.
Okay.
Is that it, or?
Mostly, yeah.
All right.
Huge fan.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in on this one, and I'm gonna bring up a couple things right off the bat that I think is just everybody has mentioned, the storyline is just amazing. There's nothing that really, as far as I noticed, that took you out of it. I think the storytelling was really well done, because I mean, he's actually in this movie, he's telling, 2 different stories.
Yeah.
He's telling a war story, and he's telling a fantasy story.
But I think they're both done very subtly at times.
And the way that he mashed them together. I shouldn't even use mashed. I should just say, integrated them together in this storyline was very well done. Just more than you would have expected. Every character, I think, was really well acted. I don't think there was a out of place character. I think the doctor did a great job. The stutterer even did an amazing job. Yeah. The mom, she played a character role in there that you actually cared about the mom, but she wasn't a main character. She played a side character very well.
Yeah, she was there more to motivate the main character.
Yeah, right. And I thought that was really well done. The Fawn, I don't know who played the Fawn, but he did a good job too. I don't know I don't think he was actually in a costume there. I think it was just they CG'd him in, and he just did a voiceover.
I think the top half of him might have been a costume.
I think I was always trying to figure that out. The top half was a costume, which
I think they just literally CGI'd his legs out, which is a great way to do it. I mean,
Well, I was reading on Wikipedia that there were some animatronics involved in this. Somewhere.
I'm not surprised, but if he's sitting there like doing all that choppy acting, that was a really well done role.
Yeah, it was really, really animated and kind of over the top with the hand gestures, and same thing with the guy in the feast.
Yeah.
With the hands for the eyes.
By the way, I would have stolen the eyes. I mean, my first thought was, okay, the eyes are here. I'm taking them away.
Yeah. Well, she didn't know what was going on. The other thing is that the captain or officer or general, whoever he was, I think he was supposed to be a general, right?
I thought he was a commander.
Commander?
Capitan, for Christ's
Capitan,
sake.
that's right. Okay, yeah, sorry. Anyways, he did an amazing job with his role.
Yeah.
Just amazing. He was a character that you love to hate. And the initial, not the scene when they pull up and he's like, you're 15 minutes late, whole thing. Right. And then, almost crushing her hand, you put out the other hand, thing.
Right.
The scene where he's dealing with the farmers
Yeah.
really gives you a real glimpse into how crazy, psychotic this man is. I mean,
and how just attuned to war he is, you know what I mean? And then he finds the rabbits, and he's like, can you search him before I kill 2 people? You know?
He's like, he doesn't even care that he killed them. He's just like, do a better job. This is your fault that they're dead.
Yeah.
And the scene where he smashed the guy's face in with the bottle, I have never seen in all the movies a more graphic face smashing than that. I mean, the detail they went into of how, the bones started breaking and caving into the face, and the fact he did not die, he was still alive, and he shot him.
I'll be honest. I don't think it was the captain, far as minding killing people. I think it was because they wasted his time. I think that was the point.
Yeah, that was the point. But he's saying that, I think he also said, you're wasting my time, and this is the result. People die.
Yeah,
right.
That's what he was saying.
Point, he was still under the assumption that they were rebels. But as far as the face smashing part, you've seen it before, James, but never in this type of movie. You've always seen it in horror movies where they're sort of expected to have that kind of gratuitous sort of thing.
What I'm saying,
the placement in this kind of movie, with this crazy real setting, like it served a purpose. Like, holy shit, it like really made you like hate that character.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the way that they did it more realistically than like the fake kind of melting face or they did it in a way that makes it look more realistic.
I think they've done it just as real in other movies sometimes, like your slasher flicks or something like that. But like I said, I think the setting played a lot into how you took it as like, oh shit, that's like real,
Yeah. The other scene is, and you talked about the sewing up of his face. That was an amazing scene that, I haven't seen something like a gash like that so realistic since like Ichi the Killer.
You're right.
And
I know
then
you thought the same thing as I did. Is when as soon as he started to take that shot, I'm like, dude, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
and
that was.
It does.
Yeah, and then he does it again. I'm like, good, yeah, and make sure it's good.
But the bleed through effect, that was the part that it was more amazing. The fact he drank it, and a few seconds later you could see it.
It wasn't even a few seconds. It was like a second later as he gulped it down.
I thought that I thought that added effect really worked.
And I'm still, every time I see the scene where he sews his face up, I'm always staring at it because you see the needle protruding, pushing through the cheek. And every time I'm always like, that is so well done. You can't even tell if it's CG, if it's real or what.
I guess
I'm pretty sure they didn't cut his cheek open.
I know, but I'm saying, it's just the way they did it. It looks like.
I think that the best testament to that was your wife.
Yeah.
When your comment was, oh, I wish you knew how they did that. I don't want to know. I don't care. It was the fact that it looks real is the greatest testament to any effect.
Yeah,
absolutely. When people just have that instant like your fight or flight response kicks in, and you're just like, you want to just wince away from it.
Yeah.
And then the other people are just like, what the hell?
Yeah. The other thing that I was going to mention is, you brought it up, is the fact that most of the scenes in the I don't want to say fantasy world, but the fairy tale world that she's a part of. Most of the scenes in our world, supposedly, were very earthy, and then when she steps into the fairy tale world, there's a subtle difference that Ryan touched on. It's more Tim Burton, so it goes almost a little bit hyper realistic, kind of brighter.
Right.
And am I the only one that thought that when she got into the kingdom of the underworld, it was pretty damn bright down there?
That was my first thought.
I was like, I need to put sunglasses on.
And I must be watching way too many bad movies because I expected to have a hue of green or more fog, more pronunciation of evil instead of happy, happy, joy, joy was the look of it.
But I thought that was a little bit weird. The only person missing
was Ren and Stimpy.
I was thinking
say, was that a Ren and Stimpy reference?
Pretty much, unfortunately.
But, honestly, I got to say, that this is just one of those movies that just wraps everything up in just a complete way that you don't expect it if you I mean, because really he didn't have any movies in America besides like Hellboy that we could really point a reference to.
Right. Well, I think he did Blade 2 or I think he directed it or something like that. But still, I mean, it's one of those we've seen what your foreign work is like. We'll give you a little studio gig like Blade.
Well, he's got the Devil's Backbone, I Murder Seriously, but I mean, these aren't really like blockbuster movies that were promoted very well. Pan's Labyrinth was, if I remember right, wasn't kind of an underground or Sundance flick. It was promoted pretty well.
Oh, very, very well. Yeah, so, they made a point to be like, no, this is great. This is awesome.
I will say though that if you watch the the first or second Hellboys, you can see the touches he used for the Pan's Labyrinth, or I don't remember which one it came out first, but from the color palette to the effects to the character interactions, I think you could totally see this director going from that to Pan's Labyrinth, because everything, at least in Hellboy, really fits that.
Yeah, especially the colors that he chose for everything.
Well, and a lot of the choices that he made in Hellboy, as far as the visual versus the special effect kind of thing. I'm sure, because he did Hellboy first, I'm sure he snagged a lot of people from that movie and brought them over to work on Pan's Labyrinth as far as the effects.
I'm sorry.
Since obviously all you people out there can already guess what my rating is. I mean, this one's a straight out 5 out of 5. I mean, the impact it made on me the first time I saw it just outranks of any of the other 4s I've given. So this is a straight 5. I mean, I came out of there amazed.
Ryan?
It definitely does outrank a 4 on originality alone. Just from, like you said, I was fan from the beginning. Total
Basically, yeah, pretty much.
See, I'm the Russian judge in this one. Right off the top of my head, I have to give it a 4.
Communist.
Was that a 90s Olympic reference?
Yes, it was.
Jesus.
But yes, damn. I told you I'm old. But yes, I'm doing a 4 out of 5 because this is my first time seeing it. If I see it a couple of more times, I have no doubt my love for this would change. But but from everything else right now, it's a solid 4 out of 5. It's definitely a must watch if you want to see good acting, different character reference, a bunch of stuff that America does poorly in movies these days.
Yeah.
Upcoming next is movie news, and I think that's James's pick, and he already gave us some doom and gloom information. So
yes, I did. I pretty much told him, sit down, prepare to be upset. So I know Ryan would probably recognize this name because I've thrown it out to him a couple times. Alexander Skarsgård. Now,
dear God, what a name.
John doesn't know who he is. Ryan, do you remember who I told you he was? Eric Northman from True Blood. This guy is a giant. He's a very tall man, very fit, blondish, and he's actually going to be playing Tarzan in the upcoming flick, which I'm actually looking forward to because I like the Tarzan. Hold on. Have you ever seen Tarzan Greystone?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, what was that mix? Is it the mix with Casper Van Dien Tarzan, or is it the Legend of Greystoke?
That's what
Stoke.
Your guys' knowledge of Tarzan is freaking me out a little bit.
Which one?
I actually thought the old Tarzan movies weren't like horrible.
Like the black and white or the early 90s,
well, the black
80s?
And white were okay, but I actually like the Greystone.
I like that one. Tarzan was actually named after the town of Tarzana out here in the valley.
I'm not surprised. Anyway, but he's going to be playing this in an upcoming flick. Now, the problem I found with this one is he's going to be joined by Samuel Jackson.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me keep going.
My smartass mark is on hold because it might be a tad
and he's going to be playing George Washington Williams. Who, that's a...
At least he's not playing
the name is actually a very famous name if you look it up. But he's playing a former mercenary who joins Tarzan to save the jungle from diamond mine warlords.
Uh-huh.
Now, hold on.
So blood diamonds?
There is hope for this film, considering that David Yates is going to be the director. Now, do you guys know who David Yates is?
The Blue Ranger?
Harry Potter movies. He's the director of the last 4 Harry Potter movies. So those were actually really well done as far as I'm concerned.
4 actually kind of kicked ass.
Yeah. So
is this about
now,
African
hold on.
conflict diamonds, though?
Hold on. All my movie news ties in together, and I want to hear your guys' stuff at the end.
Bastard.
So the bad things... Now, I know I already went bad already, but I'm going worse. The bad things about this is that they're the 2 writers that are writing this. Craig Brewer is one. He's the writer of... these are his 2 most well-known. Black Snake Moan and the remake of Footloose. And it gets worse. Stuart Beatty's on this flick. Not to mention G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra. Pirates 2, 3, 4, 5, and yes, I did just say 6.
Ouch.
Australia, the Hugh Jackman one. And on and on and on.
Okay, so they're studio writers.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not done yet with Beatty. I just wanted to hear your guys' feedback on that one. Now,
you said Rise of the Cobra. It stops there.
Well, look, they're studio writers. They get paid to churn out, huge blockbuster type movies that don't need a good script because they're banking on the name. Like Tarzan.
That's true.
There's no call for that. He bastardized my childhood. There's no.
Oh, no.
Bastardizing your childhood for the past 15 years. Where the hell have you been?
Hold on. I got one more thing.
G.I. Joe. Yeah, no,
I'm not done with Beatty yet.
There. Okay.
I'm not done with Beatty yet. Are you guys ready to get the pitchforks and torches out?
Axe handles.
Another bit of bad news before we get away from this Beatty train wreck is on his resume is the Halo script.
The actual movie Halo?
The actual movie Halo that Peter Jackson, as of I think it was updated in November, was looking at picking up.
Ooh. I was going to say, wasn't that written like a long time ago?
Yeah.
Yes, and that was written by Beatty.
Here on his defense, I don't believe I'm offending this cat. A lot of the issue I heard regarding... I
don't think he cares.
Well, a lot of the thing I've heard about that is because for some reason the studios think that you have to see an actor's face in order for them to understand the character.
What's his name is on it? Hellboy.
Guillermo del Toro.
No,
Ron
Perlman.
Oh, the guy who can never say no.
Ron Perlman's has already been interviewed for a role in it. The Halo flick.
Which one now?
Cortana?
No, Lieutenant something.
For Halo?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But Peter Jackson is still toying.
Actually really thinking of picking up Halo?
Yeah.
I hope he does.
Peter Jackson is actually toying with it. He's mentioned something in like November of last 2 years ago, November of 11, that he was still on it. Now, Alex Garland is another writer on it, and he's did 28 Days Later, The
good.
Beach, and the new Judge Dredd.
The new Judge Dredd I liked.
I did too. I thought it was better than the other one, but it wasn't that great.
Take much to get better than
Sylvester
Stallone.
Good point.
But I can't believe this guy Beatty, though. I mean, how can you not realize you are horrible when you've written Pirates of the Caribbean 5?
Well, here's
and you write 6.
I have a
wait.
slight.
I'm going to mute you. I want to hear him.
Either, but I have a slight defense for it.
There ain't no defense.
Do you know who Tom Lennon is?
Tom
Lennon. He's the guy who plays Lieutenant. I think it's Lieutenant Dangle on Reno 911.
Oh yes.
The short shorts.
Yeah.
Funniest dude always comes in as like a bit part. He's a great sketch comic and all that stuff.
There's no excuse for Larry Birding it.
He wrote Herbie Fully Loaded.
Wow.
He's a studio writer. He actually wrote a book on how to make money writing for the studios. It's like an actual skill writing these shitty scripts.
Does Beatty have a signed copy?
Shoot, probably. Well, probably, was Tom Lennon's mentor as far as writing those scripts.
I know. I mean, it's...
Wow.
I'm looking at the guy's thing, and I mean...
The guy with the mustache, they're like a writing team, but when they write for the studios. But when they do stuff for themselves, they're funny as shit because they do what they want to do. But when you get noted to death by the studios and the suits and the money, you come up with shit like,
Die Hard 4.
Pirates of the Caribbean 6.
Well,
in 6 and 4 and even 2 as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you on 2.
I'll have
Really?
I'll have to agree with Ryan on that one. Especially if you look at Die Hard 4. I mean, the only reason why it had a PG-13 rating was one cuss word.
But
Right.
yeah.
Otherwise, it was PG.
Pretty much.
Well, also in what was the John Travolta flick? Wasn't it
Which one?
the one where he didn't make it rated R because he didn't say fuck twice?
Which one?
Oh, I think it was right around the time of Swordfish.
Oh, can't help you there. It's not what I was going to say. And now the show comes to a complete halt.
Anyway,
now the dead airspace starts to fill the room.
Is it uncomfortable?
it was
for
the
you?
second one. It was the remake of Shorty. Get Shorty. It was the second.
Oh.
It was the second one.
I know what you're talking about. That movie sucked. That wasn't Nicholas. Who was it?
Yeah, John Travolta was in it.
Oh, Travolta. Oh, yeah, right. I was thinking.
Anyway, I can't think of it. But
Okay.
moving along. But I mean, yeah,
it was the one about the music with The Rock and Beyonce in it.
Yeah. Anyways,
Wow, that
Yeah,
movie
that
was awful.
yeah, it wasn't that
Not
good at
cool.
all. But anyways, I understand what you're saying about studio writers, but I mean, I want to see
look,
another
the thing about
Greystone.
Studio writers is that we're able to recognize what the studio is doing with these movies, things like Tarzan, and we can lower our expectations a little bit.
Well, here's
A little bit.
Here's the thing.
A lot.
Have you seen Pirates of the Caribbean 4?
No, I stopped at 3. I don't know why the hell I watched that one.
Okay.
I got burned by 2 because I was such a fan of the first one. I must
Yes.
have saw that
yeah.
4 or 5 times in the theater.
Yeah.
Damn, that movie rocked.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think it comes down to, like, just you write so much. You could write a couple of really amazing scripts, and besides all the studio markups, how many really good scripts does one guy have? Especially when most of the theaters people want to see Transformers, explosions, bad acting, Mark Wahlberg.
When it doesn't matter what the script is about, so they probably churn these things out in a
Rockstar
couple
wasn't
of
that
weeks,
bad.
and then it gets some studio exec sitting there looking at the script like it's good. He needs a dog, and then they'll add a dog in a couple of days, and then the script's rewritten, the second draft, and they cast the shit in another couple of weeks, and then a lot of it's the post production with the CGI effects.
Yeah, so I guess as an average movie fan, I like bad movies, even though generally most of the bad movies I liked were trying to be a good movie.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. I'm just saying, fucking Rage
Punisher.
Against the Machine a little bit,
He-Man.
people. Stop seeing this shit and they'll stop making it.
Well, that's the biggest thing is that, I mean, they do something like Pirates of the Caribbean 4, 3, Rise of the Cobra, whatever these are, and they promote them so much
But on the other
that
hand,
these people go and watch them. I'm not going to throw them all in the
For the
genres.
stupid people out there, let me explain exactly how this works. Somebody makes a movie. That movie is awesome. The studio people know that all the people that came to see that movie the first weekend, the second weekend, the third weekend, because the movie was awesome.
Like Ryan
all of
Preston.
All of those people through all the weekends will show up on the very first day.
Ryan
Go see
Preston.
the piece of shit sequel, so they made just as much money
Ryan
as they
Preston.
did that day than they did the whole time that first movie was out. The easiest thing in the world to do. Stop seeing shitty sequels.
Well, the other thing is I think that the best part about it is you realize how hard it is to make a good movie. If you look at, like, for example, The Lord of the Rings. Whether you like it or not, the studios didn't have a choice. When Tolkien's family basically said that if you don't make this movie, we're going to give it to Peter Jackson. Like, the sole rights to the movie to Peter Jackson.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you realize that there's people's passion about it, and the passion shows through. So I think the best part about it is you realize what movie person loves making movies. Del Toro
Right.
is an example of it.
Right,
Every
and
movie
he's
I've ever
actually writing the 3
Yeah.
Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
He wrote the damn thing, so that actually gives me hope for the. I saw the first one. We'll get into
Tolkien
that
wrote
probably
them.
in an episode, so I won't get into it now. But that gives me hope for the
Semantics.
series, Which I'm pissed off that it's a series, but I'll get.
Down Boy.
I agree with you on that. I am upset that he broke it down into 3 movies.
Bizarre.
I think if he's going to try to do it, verbatim, not so much verbatim, but pretty close to everything
Well,
that happens,
Well, here's
it's 3 movies.
Well, here's
the
the
same with
I was
the
a
Lord of the
huge fan
Rings.
the
It
first
should
one
be
in
like 9.
like 76, and that thing was 75 minutes long.
Well, here's. Did you just say 1776?
No, in
he said-
1976
Oh,
when
okay.
Hobbit
I was gonna say.
cartoon
Oh,
thing
okay.
came out, the Franken and Bass piece of shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Now,
Well, here's the thing: is we're running up against the end here.
And it's your pick for a movie.
Yes. So here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna have Up to the Forest, and then they're going to do the Mirkwood, and the next one is going to be from Mirkwood to the Battle of Four Armies.
right.
So the benefit about that is they can give a lot of information, a lot of storytelling
And there, yeah.
in it because
And I think I think they did it specifically because they had so much extra footage that they didn't know what to do with. I think they came in under budget, so they just said, well, let's just fucking make another one.
which, by the way, the movies by themselves are going to be 3 hours. I can't imagine the special extended edition.
Extended,
Right.
extended,
The box
multiple.
is going to be, this big.
The Return of the King is an extra 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
So
I remember I was working at Blockbuster when those damn things came out, dude. It was insane.
So Ryan, do you have a pick for next week?
Okay, I have
Dun 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 dun.
I know, right?
Are you marrying him?
I thought about
No,
this
just trying to do a dirge.
kind of briefly, but when I thought of this one, I thought, oh, that'd be a neat one to do. I haven't seen it in a while, and it's kind of right up your guys' alley. You probably seen it before, but I know there's a bunch of people out there that this movie kind of got skipped over by.
Now I'm getting worried.
Gattaca.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it was like 95 or something like
Yes.
that. It was Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman before everybody started to hate her for some reason.
This is the movie that every scientist since then has said this will be the future.
Right. Well, and it's it's a movie that actually spawned a lot of people saying like oh, I want to get into that kind of field just to make that kind of thing. It's one of those inspirational kind of things.
Seriously. I'll leave my opinions about Gattaca for next week.
Right. On.
Yeah.
Ladies
Keep
and
quiet on that
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I gave this movie a 4. Ryan and James gave the movie a 5, and we'll see you
Communist.
next week.
Goodbye.
They will support you. They will do referrals between clients. You can't ask for a more complete marketing package.
We love the windfall! And you can too. Think advertising with the windfall couldn't get any better? Well, it just did. For only $125 for a 30-second commercial filmed by Old Guy Tech TV, you can be seen and heard.